Okay, so someone just put a thing up on X in regards to like your favourite Dracula movie. For me, I grew up with Christopher Lee and Christopher Plummer, Bela Lugosi as well, but Christopher Lee was my Dracula of all Draculas. To me, there is the only one Dracula, and that's Christopher Lee. He was who I grew up with, scaring the crap out of me as a kid, and he's the only one as a vampire who has scared the crap out of me. To a lesser degree, Christopher Plummer, but Christopher Lee for me is Dracula as far as I'm concerned. And I just love him as an actor, loved him as a person. And so, yeah, for me, Dracula is Christopher Lee. However, it made me realise I've done a zombie movie, I've done like supernatural and slasher and all of that sort of thing. Like I've got all of them, but I don't have a vampire movie. And so I was saying, like, just give me a minute, like, give me a few hours, give me a day or two to come up with an idea. I literally went to the bathroom and it all just came flooding out. It was all just like, oh, Eureka, I've got it. Because for some reason, I was thinking of the first thing I thought of was Sleepy Hollow, the Legend of Sleepy Hollow and Ichabod Crane. And then I went to Indiana Jones and I combined the two. And then I thought, we'll be able to film pretty much the entire location. So the entire film on location at the foundation. It's going to depend on whether we want to add a church into it. And then because it made me realise as well, I need to do an exorcism movie because I've been yelling at the Pope. I've been posting stuff about exorcisms and how the Catholic Church doesn't have a clue. And the reason why most exorcisms fail and all of that. Like, I've got videos up, I've posted about it. Why people get possessed and why the majority of them possessed are young children, and why most possessions don't work. A lot of them even end in death because the church doesn't know what they're talking about, because it's got nothing to do with God. So I need to do an exorcism movie, but the great thing is that these are two movies that I'll be able to film entirely on location at the foundation, unless I want to add like a church scene. However, what better place in the world to be filming church scenes in regards to vampires and exorcisms than Italy? Ah! If I'm allowed to film, or even France or Germany, but Italy especially, you know. I think they even film, because I'm thinking of The Omen. They filmed some scenes on location in Italy there, I'm pretty sure it was. I haven't seen those movies since I was a kid, but I'm pretty sure they filmed scenes on location in Italy and that. So, yeah, it just depends on whether I want to write a church scene into the movies. But I'm not going into details because, I don't want people stealing my ideas, because I've learned my lessons. There's like literally no one in the world I can trust to tell my ideas or stories to in private, because they run and tell all their friends and God's enemy and that, and then they all steal my identity, steal my work, steal my ideas, blah, blah, blah. Stealing from God. These are people who are stealing from God in projects and ideas that are supposed to be saving the lives of children. So they're essentially stealing from children. So these people are disgusting to me, and I don't trust anyone with my ideas in private. But what I will say in public is this: I've put the Legend of Sleepy Hollow together. Now, every year at Halloween, we're going to be putting on a stage performance of the Legend of Sleepy Hollow, or the Legend of Ichabod Crane. Every year. That and a Christmas Carol we will do every year for Christmas and Halloween without fail. It has been my plan since day one when I first started this channel, even though I've taken them down. I talked extensively in a couple of videos about how we were going to be doing Ichabod Crane and The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, that this is a production that the kids would be doing. But what I was thinking for my vampire movie, and I don't have a name for it yet, so I'm just calling it Dracula the movie. It's just like I've just put a pin in it because it's literally out of poop came a vampire movie, out of shit grew roses. No, it's just because I went to the bathroom. I had to relieve myself. And it just, boom, it just came to me. So I'm just being smart. I'm using toilet humour. Might not be very ladylike, but sometimes you have to be a little bit silly. So the first thing I thought was Sleepy Hollow. Now that's not a vampire movie, obviously. But then I started thinking Indiana Jones, and I put the two together. And my vampire movie is this: the matron of the school, the matron of the foundation, which kind of is me, but it's like, does that mean like because I don't really want to be in the movie? I'd have to be me in the movie as Debbie Callahan, but I'd have a fake name or something. I don't know. But like I am the matron of the foundation, so but it's like there's some weird goings on in the foundation. I mean, it's doesn't have to be me, does it? It can be a fake person. But anyway, the matron of the school calls in this professor, who's an expert in vampirology, because there's been a spate of vampire attacks in the village. It means that we'd be able to film on location in the village around the foundation as well. And then he gets called in, because I'm literally thinking of this as I'm writing. So it's going to start with these vampire attacks with these victims around the village where the foundation is, and the matron of the school is going to be getting involved in this investigation. There'll be town meetings and what do we do, and police investigating and blah blah blah. But because it's dealing with the occult, because it's dealing with the supernatural, think Debbie. Because what I was seeing was the matron of the foundation calling this man in to do the investigations because things start happening around the town and then they start affecting the school. And so she brings in this professor, this expert, to do the investigation around the school and the town. And that's the Indiana Jones side, because remember he was a professor? He taught archaeology and all of that. Well, this is going to be a professor who teaches like folklore and mythology at the local university or whatever, and she's going to bring him in to investigate these vampire attacks. Just like with Ichabod Crane. Remember, he was brought in to investigate. In the Legend of Sleepy Hollow, with the Johnny Depp version, he was brought in to investigate, but with the Legend of Ichabod Crane, he was there as a teacher. But I'm going Tim Burton, Sleepy Hollow, Legend of Sleepy Hollow. He's brought in to investigate. It's one of my favourite movies. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, or The Legend of Ichabod Crane, depending on what version you like, is one of my favourite stories of all time, as is A Christmas Carol. They're two of my favourite. Washington Irving and Charles Dickens, just wrote two of the greatest things of all time for me as a writer. They've inspired so much in me as a writer, unlike any other writer out there other than James Herbert, who is my favourite author. Him over Stephen King, hands down. Having said that, though, I did like Christine and Misery. But this is going to have a twist, obviously, because everything I do has to have, it can't be normal. I'm not going to be touching on, because usually I'd be the sort of person where I'd be using this opportunity to teach the truth about Dracula, and I might touch on it, but I don't really want to be going down the whole Illuminati sacrifice adrenochrome thing. I want to stick this to the original vampires, daywalkers, nightwalkers, get bitten, kill the head vampire to kill the nest. You know, there's two kinds of bites. I've made videos about it back in the day, I think during the first lockdown. All that sort of thing, a traditional vampire. And two of my favourite vampire movies in the whole world, if I had to make a list, is Lost Boys and Blade, both of which inspired me. So there's going to be like a whole Blade Lost Boys thing in there, but it's going to have more of a classic Christopher Lee style vampire story. I also love what Taika Waititi, What We Do in the Shadows. I love that show when I used to have Netflix. But this isn't a comedy, this is a horror. And then it's something that we can add to the Halloween theme. And then while I was thinking along the lines of Dracula, the movie, yet to be named, I thought I need to do an exorcism movie as well. And again, we can use the school. It means that we'll be able to film pretty much entirely on location. And then it got me thinking as well, we could actually, it would be possible for us to film a couple of movies at the same time. So we could get movies done quite fast. Because we're not going to be relying on graphics and CGI and AI and that. It'll be all special effects and makeup and costumes and, you know, scary sort of suspenseful music and good script writing and all of that. I'm making films like the old days, because it's what people are crying out for. People are sick of the whole AI using CGI for everything. Animation kind of graphics is fine, but people are getting sick of it. People are screaming out for the old stuff, and so I'm going to deliver. So our vampire movie is going to be a traditional one. And then the Exorcism movie, which we'll be able to use the Amber Wilkinson School of Witchcraft for, the actual building, in a lot of these films actually, I will actually be able to teach in the story to re-educate the Pope and the Catholic Church and everybody else what exorcisms are, why they happen, and what you can do to fix them. Great way to promote my products too. But what I'm going to do is I'm thinking whoever plays the priest in Unorthodox, I think I might have playing the priest in my exorcism movie, you know, but I'm thinking, see, because I don't know, I have to think of costs and all of that sort of thing. But in my mind, I keep thinking with my exorcism movie to do it along the lines of, you know, the time setting of the Salem witch trials, the Bell Witch, the exorcism of Emily Rose, kind of those kind of settings is what I have in the back of my head. But if I use Father Petrov, from Unorthodox, I can then use that same actor in the Exorcism movie. But even though, like, I'm smacking the hand of the Catholic Church for not knowing what the hell they're actually doing and getting all of this demonology stuff wrong, and it having a real impact on real lives, my father, even though he's a priest, he's unorthodox. He's a priest, but he's unorthodox. And he's, you know, he's got that John Wick kind of darkness about him, because he's like a priest that delves into the occult and the supernatural. Because remember, he reads the Hokum Hakum, the Hokum book, and it opens up the occult, and he ends up taking down the like the Netch's diet and all that in Unorthodox the movie. But you first meet him in the Quantum Menace 1, the fourth son, which introduces you to Ben, the Quantum Menace. Originally Olivia, he goes to the Father Petrov in the Quantum Menace 1, and does his thing there, which then leads into Quantum Menace 2, the Battle of Two Worlds, which then leads into Quantum Menace 3, the conception of Heracles, which is all happening in real life right now, by the way, I might add. Elon Musk out the way, Donald Trump lands in his little mechanical mech suit from space, and then they go back to the past to erase his future. That's all happening right now. So then Unorthodox, we would bring in the priest from Unorthodox because he knows what he's doing. And it's him who, who is like, defies the Catholic Church. They're kind of like threatening to kick him out of the Catholic Church because he's not playing by the rules, because he's unorthodox, because he knows the truth. And they don't like the fact that he's trying to recorrect the Catholic Church. So he's kind of a priest. He's like a rogue priest. And I always have him in mind as being someone like, that Irish actor Gabriel Byrne? He kind of reminds me of him. He's kind of got that look about him. Short, dark hair. He might even be Irish or Italian or something. I don't know. But, yeah, he's kind of got that look about him. Yeah. So, 2 movies came out of one post. A Dracula movie and an Exorcism movie. And I have had in the back of my head a werewolf movie, but I'm not sure how we'd go about it, because the thing is, I know what werewolves really are. I know that they're guardians to cemeteries and graveyards. They're like ogres and dragons. They're completely misunderstood. So I've been trying to think of how to do a werewolf movie where we're not relying on graphics, rather special effects and incredible movie makeup, but where it's teaching people about what werewolves really are. Because I live in Yorkshire and I live up the road from Whitby, where Bram Stoker's, was inspired to do the whole Dracula thing, and they've completely raped Dracula for its historical inaccuracies. It's one of the reasons I don't like Whitby. They make money off selling a historical lie, and it annoys me, because I'm a great defender of Vlad Tepes, because he was an incredible leader, and he was very rightly, although gruesomely, but not gruesome for the time, defending Romania from the invasion of the Turks, of the Ottoman Empire and all that. So he was completely misunderstood. Elizabeth Bathory, she was the one that should have been turned into the Legend of Dracula. She's the one that drank the blood. The whole Illuminati adrenochrome thing. She bathed in the blood of the virgins because she believed it kept her young. That's their whole adrenochrome thing. But somehow by him merging the two, by him writing what he wrote, it brought Vlad Tepes into a historical inaccuracy that needs to be corrected. And this is absolutely one of the things that my professor in my vampire movie is going to be saying he's going to be a professor of like folklore and mythology, like European folklore and mythology. He's going to be an expert when it comes to, you know, vampires and werewolves and witches and all that sort of thing. So when these vampire attacks occur around this little Swiss village and all of that, she's going to call him in. The mayor of the town, the matriarch of the school, or whatever, is going to call him in and help her, you know, investigate why it started, where it's coming from, who the vampire is, blah blah blah. And you know, we'll take it from there. But we'll be able to film it mostly on location if I don't involve churches, and in the little town, which is going to be great revenue for the town as well, because I want to get everybody involved. I'll, you know, like for example, if we have to close a street off for, you know, if I have to get permission to close a street off for 2 hours of filming so that we can film one of the victims running down the street. If any of the actors, any of the people in the neighbourhood don't want to get involved, like I'll chuck them a couple of $100 to say, you know, could you all just stay indoors for an hour? Wherever it is I build my foundation, I plan on calling a town meeting anyway. Before I set everything up, I want to like put letters out through everyone's door and say, come and meet at this place because I'm an entrepreneur. I'm about to build in your neighbourhood, and I want to let you know what's going on. There's opportunities to make money, that sort of thing. And then we'll put on a spread, like let us know if you're going to be turning up so we know how many people to feed, and then we'll bring all the locals down and then I can sit with them and explain who I am and what the plan is. And I'll have to say to them, during festivals and that, we might be making a bit of noise, but after 11 o'clock, or you know, by the time 11, 12 o'clock comes about, you know, we shut everything down, take everything indoors. You don't need to worry. I'm not planning on doing any outdoor concerts and that go sort of beyond 11 o'clock. And then say to them, but you're welcome to come and join us. You know, come and bring a picnic basket, come and bring a blanket and enjoy it, because we're going to be free. There's only certain things that you'll have to buy tickets for, like when we put on big events and that, but most of the stuff that we put on is going to be free entertainment. And then, like, if we do want to film on a street by the foundation, like for the vampire movie, I would say to them, I will pay you like X amount of Swiss monies to keep you indoors. Like, all we need is an hour. We're literally just going to have like one shot where the victim runs down the street. All we're asking is that you stay indoors for that 1 hour, and I'll pay you like $50 to stay indoors. Or, you know, we want to film between 5 and 7. So if you stay indoors, we'll deliver food fairy delivery so that you can sit inside and eat a free dinner on us so that we can film this one scene, that sort of thing. And then it gets everyone involved, but it's also it's not just getting everyone on board, but it's giving people the opportunity to enjoy our food, to make a little bit of money just by letting the kids do their thing. So, yeah. And then, obviously, if you know anyone who can act, play music, has a skill, is looking for a job, is a veteran, go to this website. So I'm just having a drink of water. I'm going to have to be pals with the mayor. I'm going to have to be pals with first responders, fire department, police, ambulance service, that sort of thing. They get free breakfast with us. Our first responders and paramedics and that, if they come down, They'll get a free brekkie. Our firemen and police and that, they'll get a free cooked breakfast. So, yeah. So with my werewolf movie, if I'm making a werewolf movie, because I'm going to need, this is why I want to get people who like worked for Hollywood and that, worked in the movie and TV industry, get the veterans, bring them out of retirement, and offer them jobs where they get to mentor and offer the expertise, because I need people that know how to transform a man into a werewolf or whatever into a werewolf without using any kind of AI, CGI sort of stuff, using makeup and special effects so that it still looks, like The Howling and Werewolf in London and all that, like that, but just a little bit more refined. I need those kind of special effects and makeup artists. And it's the only reason why I put the werewolf movie on the back burner, because like I'm not sure if the vision that I have for it would be able to pull off. I mean, I'm underestimating the talent that's out there. I know that if I look for it, I'm going to find it. But I just have it in my mind that when it comes to the mentors and the teachers for these kids, I want them to be the originals. Not to say that I wouldn't employ young people out there that have little to no experience or experience over the last sort of 10, 15, 20 years, but if I can get people that were making this stuff in the 60s, 70s and 80s out of retirement to lend their expertise in that, I would have them hands down. I know there's probably not too many people alive that were doing like Ray Harryhausen stuff, but if there were, or people that learned from people who worked with Ray Harryhausen and that, then absolutely. People that worked on the original Draculas or learned, were mentored by the people who worked on the Christopher Lees and the Howling and the Friday the 13th and all of that, the originals. If I can get them out of retirement, or if they were mentored by these people, bring them on board, because I only want the best. But I want the best who are able to, I want it to be traditional, done the old way, because that's what people are missing. People are sick of AI. People are sick of CGI. CGI, blue screens and green screens and that are fine, and I know that we will use them for some things. For some things. But if we don't need them, I won't use them. But when we do need them, it'll be because it's necessary. Do you see what I mean? That was the plan that Thomas and I had always talked about. No AI and as little CGI as possible. We want to make traditional old school. So my vampire movie will be old school. My exorcism movie, where possible, because of how I'm going to design Aboracom, my downtown foundation where all the shops and that are, other than one side of it that's going to be Western themed. It's going to be medieval looking anyway, but I don't know, like my set builders and that. We might have to put up fake storefronts and that to make it look more like in the days of Salem witch trials. If I film it in, oh no, hang on, I can't. I just realised I can't. Not if I'm going to have Father Petrov, because he's more. I can't. I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm going to have to make it slightly more modern. I'm going to have to make it a modern exorcism. If I'm going to have Father Petrov in it, I'm going to have to make it a modern exorcism. I don't have to have Father Petrov in it, obviously. But if I do have Father Petrov in it, because I want to make sure that these actors have got, and I promote these characters, because when it comes to things like the exorcisms and dealing with the occult, obviously I teach everything that's based on scientific fact, because I'm trying to teach people while they're being entertained. It's an easy way to teach them physics and the occult through entertainment, rather than sitting them down with a blackboard and piece of chalk where their mind would drift and wander. After watching one of my movies, they'll know exactly what to do with a poltergeist, because a poltergeist movie is something else that we could do, but I'm more likely to want to incorporate poltergeist activity in with the exorcism movie, and kind of like two birds, one stone. So if I have the actor who plays, if I have the Father Petrov character in it, it's going to have to be modern. But if I have a different character, then I could make it slightly more old school, because I need to give the kids experience. If we make everything in the same era, for the kids that are learning how to do set building and set design and costumes and makeup and all of that, like they're just learning, it's just repetitive learning, they're just learning the same thing. But if I mix up the eras and the costumes and the genres and all of that, then it gives them, they can put their fingers in lots of different pies to taste. That's why I try to make everything different eras and different times and different themes and different genres, for the kids that are, wanting to work in set design, costume design, visual arts, makeup, that sort of thing. I need to give them lots of projects to work on for that experience. So, right. So that's it. So, yeah, so a vampire movie yet to be named, an exorcism movie yet to be named, a tentative werewolf movie, but I'm still on the fence about. And there we go. Yeah. And then it's all great for Halloween, eh? So there we go. So I'm going to go and have some more water now. I shall speak to you later. Ka kite anō. Isn't inspiration a wonderful thing?